Game Breaker TV.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Legendary, episode 111 for January 24th, 2013. I'm Gary Getty, coming up tonight on the show. Everything, seriously, we have too much to cover. I've been gone, I've been sick, we got so much crap. There's too much. We got gear changes like crazy, tons of PvP stuff, PvE news, some guild drama, some unannounced feature that Ghostcrawler is trolling with us, all that and more. Josh Allen, aka Lore.
Rest in peace, Mars Volta.
Seriously, bro? I know.
It's the saddest news. It's the saddest news.
It is the saddest news. Talking about pre-show. If you don't show up for the live show, you totally miss the inside joke. It's a good way to start the show with inside jokes that no one gets. Good going, Josh.
Sorry, but rest in peace, Mars Volta.
And, of course, from WoW Insider and GameBreaker TV, author, editor extraordinaire, superhero, and librarian, it's Olivia Grace.
Hello.
You guys are so loud in my headphones. I had the music up so loud from pre-show. It's like it was deafening. It really is. I gotta turn it down.
You kicked your music in and it almost blew my head off.
Oh, wow, guys, I missed you. I've been out. I've been sick. We didn't have a show, so tons of shit going on, huh?
Glad you're not dead, bro.
Not dead, bro.
Yeah, grats.
Apparently Blizzard is not dead either. Apparently they're doing some work over there.
Just a little.
They've been at it, yeah.
All right, so let's catch up. We're a bit behind on some news. So let's dive into it. We got a couple weeks worth of stuff to kind of cover. First up, tons of changes coming to how gearing works in 5.2. So first up, check this out. Item upgrades are completely going away. That's it. Just boot them. Get rid of them. Throw them out the window. How do you guys? I'm just gonna divert for a second. Are you guys starting to think that like a Blizzard tactic for expansions is completely to just change the entire game to make like a new game, and that's the only reason everybody keeps playing is just because it's like a whole new world.
Don't you dare close your eyes.
They just change everything. It's unbelievable.
They just throw handfuls of ideas at the wall and see what sticks. That's their development tactic right now.
Well, it sounds like they're planning on having the Valor upgrades come back. But yeah, it's just kind of like every new expansion that comes out, they go, well, here's a whole bunch of new stuff, and we're going to change everything about this. Like, if you think about it.
It's a whole new game.
Think about it. The expansion that has generally been considered the least successful is probably the one where they changed the least, and that was Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Like they messed with the talent system a little bit, but that was about it.
They're like, yeah, we learned from that. We're just going to change everything this time up. We'll just give you a whole new game. Yeah. All right, so let's jump into this. Like I said, first up, item upgrades are completely going away in 5.2. So if you remember the last episode, which was like 9 years ago, we were under the impression that it was just going to be for the new gear in new raids, and that's not the case. The NPCs are just completely gone. You can't upgrade anything whatsoever. So what is the logic here? What's going on? Why not let people just keep upgrading their old items? Why are they completely just removing this?
I think they want people to be spending Valor on in Conquest points on the new gear, and they were kind of worried that if they left the item upgrades in, that somebody would be like, okay, well, I'm gonna finish upgrading this old item that I already had, and spend my Valor points on that, or my Conquest points on that, instead of buying this new piece of gear I could get. Which I'm not sure how much of a concern that actually is. I guess there's something to be said for saving people from themselves in that regard, but if you were seriously going to be like, well, I guess I'll just upgrade my Valor points items instead of buying a piece of gear that's 1,000 times better than what I could ever possibly upgrade it to, then that's kind of that's a derp moment. That is full of derp.
Can I just say that your hair looks extraordinarily amazing tonight?
It's been like really, really dry here, and that just means it goes.
Yeah. All right, just wanted to point that out.
Plus, I was headbanging pretty hard to Samantha Drive-In before the show.
No bromance or nothing. Just just saying.
R.I.P. Mars Volta.
Olivia, what do you think? I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think Blizzard is just having like second thoughts about the whole upgrade system, like as a whole?
Well, I was interested to note that Ghostcrawler's been tweeting away as ever, and one of the things that he tweeted was that they would it was very much like a we'll see if it returns kind of thing, rather than, oh yeah, it's just temporary, it's totally coming back in 5.2. So yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know whether they feel like it was just one too many things to do with your Valor points, like the having to choose between getting new gear and upgrading old gear, or maybe they feel like it makes gearing too complicated with reforging and Valor spending for this and Valor spending for the upgrades. Maybe they just feel like there's too much going on, and enchanting and gemming and all of that as well. Maybe they just feel like there's too much there, and that the upgrade system is the easiest one to pull. And also item level inflation may have been getting a bit out of hand.
Josh, I mean, you alluded to, and they've actually said that most likely it's actually going to return in 5.3. So it's like, do you think there's a chance it won't return? Do you think that they're just like on the fence? Like, it seems weird to just yank the whole thing and bring it right back into 5.3 unless it's going to change drastically. It's like, how confusing can this possibly get?
It seems like the strategy, which is kind of like what we were talking about in the last episode. It seems like the strategy, the basic idea is we'll pull it for 5.2. Then a couple months later, we'll put it back in when people they've got the Valor pieces. They've already got the tiers had some time to air itself out a little bit. People aren't replacing their gear, twice a day, and then we'll put the Valor upgrades back in so that people don't accidentally spend it on stuff that they otherwise would have wanted. And that I think kind of makes sense. But the fact that he says they will most likely return in patch 5.3 means that there's a possibility that they won't. At least they're thinking about that they won't. They haven't set down a solid plan for it returning in 5.3. They're saying, well, it'll probably come back, which means maybe it won't. And I don't know. I think there's some other stuff that we're going to end up talking about a little bit later that I think might tie into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely seems like we may not be seeing the Valor upgrade system come back.
Olivia, would you mind to see if it go away? Would you mind if it just went away?
I would mind. I would mind quite a lot, because it's kind of, for me and my specific gameplay style, it's the only thing I can spend Valor points on. There's upgrades.
Well, the new.
So yeah, I'd mind.
They did clarify that the new the Valor pieces in 5.2 are not tied to daily quests. They're not tied to the raid reputation instead. So that bit of it is kind of resolved.
Yeah.
It does mean that the old pieces you still have to do reps to get the old pieces. And honestly, I kind of think in 5.2 they should remove the rep requirements off of those anyway, just so that you can have access to them easier, because it's old content at that point. Who cares?
Yeah. Or cut it down massively, or remove the Golden Lotus rep from the equation to get to the others, or something.
Just remove the Golden Lotus.
Just remove the Golden Lotus. Golden Lotus could die in a fire.
Now, this is just the tip of what's actually changing. Not Josh Allen's show. Not to be confused with just the tip, Josh Allen's show on Gamebreaker. But there's a lot more gear changes coming in 5.2. So Blizzard put out a massive blog post this week and details a lot of crazy changes of how gearing is going to work in PvP. Let's start with this. Let's break it down. So hopefully you can follow this here. The current Conquest gear will be available for honor points instead. And the current honor gear will just be crafted. So the current Conquest gear will be available for honor points, and the current honor gear will just be crafted. So they're rolling out this new tier of Conquest gear with an appropriate Metzin name of Tyrannical. Don't you just see that? You just picture him VOing that.
Just you loot a piece of gear and just Metzin talks to you for 10 minutes.
Shit.
Tyrannical Conquest.
Every time you pull it out, it's Tyrannical. That'd be great. That'd be great if there was like voice attached to like when you like pull out a sword.
We get really old really quickly.
Never. Not if Darnell was saying it.
No, maybe not if Darnell was saying it.
So here's where this gets like really crazy. So after you've earned a total of 27,000 conquest points for the season, you'll actually be able to buy the Tyrannical gear for honor. And at that point, you'll also be able to buy elite Tyrannical gear. My throat's going to start killing me. Which actually has better stats. The elite Tyrannical gear has better stats than the regular Tyrannical gear. And now you're going to actually be able to buy for conquest points instead. You guys following this? You got all this? You got a pen? You got paper? You write all this down because this is important. So no more 2200 rating requirement for best stuff. Instead, it's just a question of how much P versus P you've actually done. So there's more to this. We're going to get into it in a second, but let's stop here and kind of talk about this. What do you guys think about these changes? First of all, how do you feel about this? These are big changes. I mean, what are they trying to accomplish here with this? Besides confusing the hell out of people with a whole nother tier. Sorry.
Yeah. I think they seem to have changed their mind about the elite Tyrannical gear a couple of times, just for clarity. They originally said that it would be at any point after earning 27,000 conquest points for the season. They then amended the original blue post to say, and it has to be 5.3. And then I think they changed it back. So they haven't quite made up their mind about that yet. But this is the point where the conquest point Tyrannical gear becomes available for honor once you've earned your 27,000 points. So yeah, confusing. Anyhow, I probably didn't need to add any more confusion to this. So let's just move on. I think they're trying with particularly the thing which has upset a lot of people is the removal of the 2200 limit for the elite gear. They're kind of trying to even out the gear curve there. There was sort of, people felt that once you got past 2200, there was an artificial jump up in gear quality, which made it hard for players who were starting later in the season to catch up to the players who were, the early adopters, so to speak. And I think they're just trying to do that, but also to still provide motivation for people to do more PvP and to push on for more and more conquest points, and therefore end up with better gear. But they want it to be accessible to everybody rather than just to the people above 2200.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about a few things in a moment about how it looks like they're trying to helping people catch up. But Josh, I mean, do you think that Blizzard actually feels there's a lack of people PvPing, and this is like kind of their way to get people more into PvP?
I think there's overall, if you look at the World of Warcraft player base, it's always been kind of the second thing, right? PvP is PvE rating has always been the thing that most people will flock to, and then the PvP community has been kind of a subset of the larger community as a whole. That's just kind of how it's always been. I definitely think it seems like they're trying to get more people interested in PvP and make it a little bit less about you have to be the best of the best to get everything, and more about, okay, you just play to get everything, and if that means that you're the best of the best, cool. Because, I mean, when you think about it, if you look at PvE, and obviously things don't directly relate in the two environments, they're very different environments, but if you look at PvE, the World First guilds still race for World First every tier, even though they don't actually get anything better for it. They get achievement? They get a Realm First achievement, and that's about it. And you can people get Realm First achievements with top 500 kills at some points, just because their server just took forever to actually kill the thing. So there's nothing really that they're getting other than the recognition and the prestige of being the best of the best, and I think that can still work in PvP. I think if we don't say here's a specific reward for being ridiculously good, then people will still want to be good at PvP. People will still go after those high ratings, but it'll also be more accessible to a lot more of the average player who says, okay, you know what, I'm not worried about getting 2200 rating. I'm not worried about that. I just want to get in there and have some fun and earn some stuff in the process. I think that appeals to the broader community as a whole, which will get more people into PvP, which will get more people to compete against for those top-rated teams, and a lot of those people will get really, really into it and keep going up that maybe never would have gotten into it to begin with. So honestly, I really like this change.
What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
what do you guys think about what do you think about the gear having actual stats, better stats? I mean, that could potentially cause even more of a gap between players now that they're going to have the elite gear with higher stats. I mean, for newer players coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's still going to be a rough situation for people who who are coming in later in the season. Again, well, there's some more information on this, which we'll probably touch on later. But particularly the people who are very high rated, you're still going to be earning your conquest points way faster than lower rated people. So earning those 27,000 conquest points, it's going to take a lot less time if you're high rated, because your cap inflates so much so quickly beyond sort of, well, 1900, I guess. So you're still going to be earning that a lot faster. So there is going to become a point quite quickly where the elite conquest gear is available to the highest rated players, and it slowly trickles down through the ratings. So there is going to be hopefully not quite as difficult a situation as we've had in patch 5.1, but definitely there's still a problem with gear inflation, and the addition of an additional tier does nothing at all to help that, really. I mean, they're basically extending the elite conquest weapons and making that with primary pieces as well.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how it works out, because obviously you're correct. There's still going to be a gap there, but the other important thing on the flip side is that gear is now accessible to everyone. So it's not like a lot of people have been talking, and there's been a whole big debate about whether or not this actually exists, but the idea of that sort of artificial barrier at 2200 rating, either you had 2200 rating and thus had access to the couple of pieces of better gear, was what, like weapons, and was it just weapons? I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's just weapons, yeah.
I think it was just weapons, yeah. But you either had the 2200 rating and thus access to this little bit of better gear, and thus were outgearing the people that were just very, very below you, or just barely below you. And there's been a whole debate on whether or not that wall actually existed. But at the very least, you know that you were not able to get the best gear unless you were really, really high rated. Now, sure, maybe it'll take you some time to actually get it, but you can, if you're continuing to PvP, you can actually get access to that gear, even if you're at, 1800, 1700, or lower rating at that point. You can still actually get access to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's not going to remove the problem of the advancement, like the catch up. So you're still going to have this gap in gear, and it's actually a much bigger gap in gear now between the elite and the tyrannical. So it's just slower burn, but I'm hoping it's going to work. I really am. I'm skeptical, but I'm kind of hoping it's going to nicely smooth out the gearing curve.
Yeah, there's definitely a concern there, but it's something that I don't think we're going to really know how it works until we see it in action.
Yeah, my biggest concern actually is the item levels lower down the lower end of the scale. I mean, if you're taking crafted gear, like the late season catch-up stuff, crafted gear is still 458, and so your crafted gear is 458, your honor gear is 45483, then it goes to 493, then I think it goes to 502. Sorry, this is from memory, so that might not be completely accurate. I'm sure chat room will know, but it's still like the gap between that crafted gear and the tyrannical gear even is huge. It's massive. And Daxari has been taken to the forum and saying, "Oh, well, it's not all about the item levels." Like, yeah, but it's quite a bit about the item levels.
Quite a bit. What about now? Reading some of this, from the sounds of it, it sounds like they're not going to put anything in place for sort of reward for the rating system anymore. So if your rating's not really going to matter. Is that confirmed that they're not going to give you anything? Do we know if they're not going to replace that with something maybe cosmetic or something like that?
There's certainly been whisperings about it, but there's been no firm word from Blizzard. So far, there's no talk of saying, "Oh yeah, we're totally going to put in this, that, or the other." But there's been talk about enchants, like cosmetic enchants. To be honest, I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether it's necessary, because I mean, I've sort of been harping on and on about how high rating is its own reward. But I know that everybody agrees with me, and from the amount of ire on the forums about these changes, it would appear that a large number
people
of
hate change. The internet does not take well to change. That's why it's almost like, even if you don't technically need the reward, it's like, since people are used to sort of having something and you take it away and people get pissed, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. What do you think, Josh? Well, should they replace it with something, you think, just cosmetic, just to kind of keep everybody somewhat happy?
Be something. Yeah, I think there should be something. I think there's still the gladiator mounts, but those, if I remember correctly, that was just based off of wins anyway. I don't have one because I haven't been doing RPGs. And I've never been high enough rated in arenas to get the gladiator mounts. But I think something like that might still be fine. Just like something cool to say, look, I'm extra glowy because I'm really, really good at PvP or something like that.
Look how shiny I am.
Your hair is looking extra glowy today.
Yeah, Let's give them some PvP soul glow. We'll throw that in there. That'll work.
All right, so there's still more. We started talking about it before a little bit, about how everybody's going to have to play, well, some people are going to have to play catch-up. So they're adding in a catch-up mechanism for players who haven't been PvPing much. So basically, check this out, is how it's going to work. So for every week the PvP season has been active, the bonus cap is going to increase by 1,000. Then you subtract how much conquest you've earned in the season's total from that and add whatever is left to your weekly cap. If you've got all that and you're still with me, I'll run it through. So basically, here's a quick example. So if you're on week 10 of, say, the PvP season, in those 10 weeks, let's say you've only earned 5,000 conquest points, because Josh Allen, you're a bad PvPer.
Sorry.
So you're in week 10, you got 5,000 points. You'll actually be able to earn 5,000 extra conquest points in the next weekly cycle. It sounds kind of mathy. Josh likes math, so he'll figure it out. But it's actually pretty straightforward. So if you haven't been PvPing, you can earn a whole bunch of extra points if you start. Now, what do you think? Is this really going to work? What do you think of this? Is this a good way to get people caught up who didn't start PvPing right away?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something they should have done sooner. Again, in a revised version of the blog, this was altered to be saying coming in patch 5.3. So I haven't actually seen if this one was put back yet. I really, really hope they bring it in sooner, because if this is only coming in patch 5.3, of course, depending on how quickly the patch cycle keeps on ticking over, people are just going to wait. They're not going to start PvPing midway between 5.2 and 5.3. They're just going to hang out till 5.3 and then start PvPing then, because they can get the catch up. It's certainly a big cap to shoot for. I think it's a really good idea. I wish they'd done this sooner.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a step in the right direction at the very least. I didn't see, when I was looking through the blog before the show, I didn't see anything about it being 5.3 specific.
Oh, maybe they've changed that then. But if they have, I welcome that.
I don't know. Maybe I just didn't notice it also. Either way, I think something like this is a good idea, just because, I mean, if we're talking about 5.3, that's still only a couple months. That's 8,000 off your cap that you'd be missing out on, which is a big number, but still. I think it's good to have stuff like this, so that if you say, maybe I'll start PvPing, you can look at your conquest points and not go, okay, well, I can only get 1,800 from arenas, or I can only get 2,200 from RBGs or something like that, so now I'm just never going to be as geared as anyone else. It's never going to happen. No, it's kind of like, again, like in PvE, if you start raiding late, like, for example, in Tier 14, I started out I kind of retired from 25-man raiding at the start of Tier 14, decided that didn't take. I had to go back to the heroic 25-man raiding, but I was severely under-geared. But after a raid or two, there was a whole bunch of gear that nobody else wanted, I was geared up pretty quickly. There already exists a catch-up mechanic like that in PvE, and I think it makes a whole lot of sense to try and put something that works in a similar fashion in PvP, where you can't get all the best gear right away, but you can start to get gear a little bit faster, so you can catch up with everybody else and still feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel when you're getting into a battleground and immediately stomped by some guy in full conquest gear.
I mean, because the problem is, at the moment, like literally, like Josh said, if you start off, if everyone, say your cap's 2,200, your sub, whatever the rating point is, where your cap's 2,200. So people who are earning 2,200 in that first week, they're 2,200 ahead of you forever. And then, the next week they become 4,400 ahead of you forever. 6,600 ahead of you forever. And it's just like, it just builds and builds and builds. Of course, the cap wasn't 2,200 at the start of the season, but you know what I mean. And that was just, like, it genuinely was. There was not a light at the end of the tunnel for PvP gearing. If you didn't start early, you were kind of up the proverbial creek without a paddle.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the number 1,000 though? I mean, 1,000 conquest points is still pretty a long ways off from what you could be earning if you were just straight up PvPing already. So, is it enough? Is it enough for catch up? Do they still need to kind of? I guess if they can't really make it too high, because then it wouldn't really encourage many people to everybody.
Yeah, why would people then PvP? Yeah. they wouldn't. Is
1,000 enough though? Is the gap is it closed enough that sounds like a sweet spot?
I mean, I think they've still got to reward the people who start early in the season and who are PvPing from day one. If they're like, oh yeah, you can just get 2,200 per week that you didn't PvP, it's cool, guys, don't worry. Then that takes it too much away from the people who actually really make an effort to get up and geared early. I don't know. Time will tell if 1,000 is the sweet spot. It could still be a bit low. But, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of like for someone like me who's still ticking like outs up to 90 and really loves playing PvP on different characters, anything is good. This is an improvement, so therefore I am ecstatic.
Yeah, I think at the very least it's enough to be a solid incentive for people who want to get back into PvP. And that's really all it needs to be. It doesn't necessarily need to be enough to get them caught up. It just needs to be enough for people to feel like they can catch up, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to necessarily be able to get back exactly to the point that everybody else was at. You just need to be able to get to a point where you can function properly again. So I definitely feel like if you can start off and say, okay, look, I haven't been PvPing for the first 10 weeks of the season. I have an extra 10,000 conquest points just waiting for me on top of the, 1,800, 2,200, whatever, that I could get otherwise. Then I think that's a lot more meaningful to players than... Well, that's a much better incentive to get into PvP at that point than sitting there and going, okay, well, I can earn 2,200 conquest points, I can buy a piece of gear, and still get absolutely molested in Battlegrounds.
How's the inner tubes and the forums taken to this? What's the community like? Is it divided? How are the feelings on all these PvP changes?
I kind of want to give the PvP community, the allegedly high-rated PvP community, a bit of a slap. It's like, stop it, the PvP community. You're making us all look bad. There's so much rage about the people who were previously, asserting on the forums at least, normally from level 1 outs with like suspicious series of consonants as their names, that they were like, oh, well, I'm 2,800 rated and I don't want the noobs to have my gear. And it's like, if you're that high rated, you should be there because you're good. Not because you have 2 weapons which are X item level above the other weapons. For God's sake. Good players will still be good players. It just levels the playing field a bit. Like, not even completely for gear. Get over it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny looking at this because they're making all these changes to gear to make gear easier to get, which in a way almost makes high-rated PvP more about skill than it is currently. Because, I mean, obviously, once you get up into the extremely high ratings, everybody's kind of got the same gear anyway, but from the 1,600 to 2,199 rating, there was kind of that gap in there. So I definitely feel like it does mean that, okay, so now everybody has access to the same gear. It's, again, kind of like in PvE, going into the next tier, assuming that you were farming well enough in the previous tier, everybody has kind of the same gear, and who gets the first kill on the server has a lot to do with how much effort you're willing to put in, how much time you're willing to put in, and how good you are at actually killing encounters. This is kind of the same thing. How much effort are you willing to put in? How much time are you willing to put in? And how good are you at PvP? There you go. There's your rating.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's just like, so what are you, I kind of want to say, so what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that people who are currently 1,500 rated will suddenly become 2,500 rated because they got a few extra bits of gear?
I do know a lot of PvPers who feel like if they can put in more time to get the gear and they've got the better stats, that they just want to stomp you. Like, I have a buddy like this, and he's completely open about it. He's like, no, I just want to go in and stomp people. Like, I work hard for that gear, and he just wants to, like, it's not even that much about skill, like, at that point. Like, they don't really want to be on a level playing field and kind of competing at that level. They just really want to beat people up. I think those are the people who are probably the most upset about something like this, because they exist.
Well, honestly, if I'm being 100% honest here, I'm kind of like that too. The reason I love playing my rogue in PvP so much, the reason I love playing my rogue in Battlegrounds in Cataclysm so much was because I could just appear out of nowhere, stomp some guy, and then run off. I'm like,
everyone likes to be OP. Everyone likes to be OP, and everyone, that's why the classes people roll the flavor of the month specs and things like that. I mean, everybody wants to win. You want a leg up advantage. So the more they.
That's part of why I like this system so much too, is because it means that now I will have, like, I'm not going to put in the effort to get 2,200 rating. It's not. I don't have time for that right now. My schedule is too packed to be doing 2 raid teams and all the other stuff I do and get 2,200 rated in RBGs. It's not going to happen. But now that this new system is in place, I have access to this better gear. I can actually. I'm not going to get into these things and just be super outgeared no matter what I do. I can catch up and actually still be somewhat geared. So I'm gonna level my rogue. I'm gonna start stomping on people again. It's gonna happen.
And what's really interesting about this new system as well is that like it's kind of like this nice in between. It seems like it's getting closer to more like narrowing the gap on skill and making it a bit more skill, but not to the extent of like Guild Wars 2 tried to do with taking progression out of everything and having it be all about skill. And we see that I don't want to say doesn't work. It does to some extent, but it's so different that
it's a very niche audience for
right,
it.
because you remove the progression system. And this seems like a really good way for them to keep the progression system in, keep that carrot on a stick in front of the players because we like it, and then also still starting to get something closer that's a little bit more, just about actually being a good player.
Yeah. It actually adds more to the progression system, which is something that has been a big criticism of mine of the PvP in the past, because it's like, okay, if all I want to do is just random battlegrounds and maybe arenas here and there, I kind of just get stuck at a certain point. But now I've got all this stuff I've got a reason to continue playing my rogue.
Yeah, totally. And I think it also solves the problem of the people who get to the conquest that they cap out conquest, they've got a higher cap, and they end up sitting on thousands of thousands of conquest on their characters at the end of Cataclysm, for example. It was just like, well, these gems are all rubbish. Give me something to spend this on. I can't even sell these things.
All right, we got tons more to talk about. We're going to talk about some PvE gear as well for you guys. But really quick, I want to tell you guys about, you got it, the deal we got going on with Netflix. Go over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. If you guys have not signed up for this, what the F are you waiting for? Seriously? Free trial. Wait, you know what? Go do it right now. I'll wait.
He'll do it too. It seriously only takes like 2 minutes.
It's totally cool. I got all the time in the world. I've been sleeping for 7 days. I've been sick. I'm back. We can go all night. So take your time. Go sign up. Netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. Free 30-day trial with your name on it. You guys have any fans of American? Any American Horror Story fans?
No. I'm generally not big on horror anything. It just never. I don't like being scared.
Do you get scared of things like a bump in the night, Josh Allen? Does it scare you?
I kind of slide between finding it scary and unpleasant, and finding it really silly.
Have you seen this show? Have you seen this? This show's demented. Like, this show is like
with the word horror in it. I'm just like, I'm probably not gonna like this. I'm either gonna find it horror or cartoony.
American Horror Story is demented. It's like I love the characters are really cool. I haven't watched a ton of it yet, but my wife, we both got the flu. That's why we're out last week. I was out, obviously. We weren't here. We didn't do a show, and I was in bed for 7 days with 102 fever and vomiting and all kinds of good stuff. It was fun. It was a really good time. I wish you could have all just taken the chat and brought you all right into my bedroom with me. Look like a meth lab.
Live streamed your flu.
I should have. That would have been a great idea. No, you didn't see that. I tweeted a picture of my end table, and like it was like day 4 of just like Tussin, Advil, antibiotics piled on with like snotty tissues and like thermometers, and it looked like a meth lab. Anyway, watched a lot of Netflix, and American Horror Story was something that my wife got hooked on, and she watched the entire first season. The season finale of season 2 was last night for season 2. That was live. But all of season 1 is on Netflix right now. If you guys go check it out, just go to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV, sign up, get a free 30-day trial. You can watch it on your Xbox, your PS3, iPad, iPhone, all kinds of crazy devices. You guys seen the Note 2, the Samsung Note 2? That thing is like an iPad in your pocket. God,
it's amazing. I have the Galaxy S3. And it's just a little bit bigger, and I'm wishing I'd held out for the Note 2 because
it's
that
huge.
Just
it's like
bigger.
It's gigantic. It's like
it's so good for gaming though. Like
I'm sure,
screen is a little bit too small, but if you're gonna play games on something like that, having it just a little like the 5-inch screen is just perfect.
Josh, you know what you're supposed to say? It's great for Netflix.
It is also great for Netflix.
It is great for Netflix. I recently got a Nexus 7 and I've become completely addicted to it, and it is also great for Netflix. I was watching Sherlock. Mike B and I were both watching Sherlock on Netflix at the same time and had some awesome, ridiculous late night chats about Sherlock. Watch Sherlock.
Watch it. Yeah, if you guys haven't signed up,
really
seriously,
good.
you've been hearing me talk about Netflix forever. I've been a longtime subscriber. It's an awesome service. It's $8 a month if you want to keep it after that. Sign up with that URL though. Go to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. Sign up with that URL. Get you free 30 days. You won't be charged a dime. If you don't like the service and you want to cancel it before the 30 days are up, just cancel. You won't be charged. I think when you try, you're gonna love it because I really can't live without it. I'm ready to get rid of cable completely.
I have. It's gone.
You have? Yeah,
well, we call it Sky over here. Sky's gone.
That's right, you have Sky.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't think I can really give up is I don't know if I can give up HBO for Game of Thrones. So kind of holding on. Which I think that box set comes out. Doesn't season 2 come out on DVD like February? Anyway, World of Warcraft. All right, so for you guys that don't PvP, yeah, what show is this? I'll just talk about TV shows all night. So for you people out there who do not PvP, your gear's changing as well. So this just dropped a few days ago. Gear from the new Throne of Thunder raid instance will have a chance to be Thunder Forged. I need a better. That wasn't a good accent. I need a better one, but not up to it.
Thunder,
like
thunder, thunder,
thunder, forged.
Ho!
So check this out. Any non-tier gear can be Thunder Forged, and Thunder Forged gear is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 item levels higher than its regular version. And now here's where it gets really controversial and the inner tubes get really upset. Ready for this? 25 mans will have a higher chance to get Thunder Forged drops than 10 mans. Dun dun dun. What's up with this?
What gear advantage?
Is this what
OMG, guys?
Seriously, what's the theory behind this? Is this Blizzard's way to save 25s? What are they? This is racist.
This is raidist.
This is racialist. This is racialist.
It's for a high-end racing. No, I mean it is something that they mentioned was that it was part of what they want to try and incentivize 25 mans more. And the idea of giving 25 mans a gear advantage is, I've talked about it a lot in the past. I don't really like it as just on the principle of it. It seems kind of against the spirit of things, but at the same time, I don't really know a better way to make up for the extra organizational problems that 25 mans have. Like, the big problem that 25 mans run into is that it's hard to keep a 25-man raid going. It's harder to have 25 people because you open yourself up to you need to run a bench of at least 3 or 4 people, and running that bench means that those people leave, but then somebody else posts out because they're sick or something, so then you're down a person. Months Behind has been 23-manning raid bosses for the past 3 months. We've been getting progression kills, but we've been 25-manning or 24-manning everything because we don't have 25 people. We just haven't, and it's been revolving door for the past few weeks. It's that last spot. We have not been able to fill it. We do have some new recruits in now, but that's beside the point. I think something like this where it says, okay, listen, we know that you've got to get 25 people in there. Sometimes that means recruiting the people that aren't the best for that particular position. Sometimes you get people in there that maybe they've got a slight case of the derps. So to make up for that, and also make up for the fact that, when there's 25 people, there's less space in the room to deal with different mechanics and stuff, we're going to give a very, very minor gear advantage, because this is ridiculously minor gear advantage, because not everybody in the raid is going to be in full Thunderforged, right? It's not like everybody is going to be 6 item levels higher. It's probably going to be an average of only 1 or 2 item levels in the middle of progression, if that. But we'll give this very, very slight gear advantage to A, entice more people into becoming a 25-man raider, because gear is still a factor in that. But B, it's also going to buffer just a little bit that little extra case of the derps that comes up, so that you can get just a little bit more DPS, a little bit more healing, and so on. That is an amazing cat. Very angry about something.
It's angry about the 25-man racist.
It's angry about this move by Blizzard to try and kill 10-man raiding. That's what it's angry about with his eyes.
Blizzard hates 10-mans.
Blizzard hates 10-man raiding. That cat's so angry. But Blizzard doesn't hate 10-man raiding. They still get to drop in 10-mans. They just get less. Just get fewer. drops, less thunder forging going down right there. I know, I mean, as a 10-man raider, this doesn't bother me. I'm like, whatever. 25-man had a slightly higher gearing curve already. You get 6 pieces for 25 people, whereas we get 2 pieces for 10 people. Big deal. It's not going to make my guild go 25s. We don't have enough people.
That's what I was just going to ask you. I was just going to say, like, do you think that your guild might go 25s? Do you think like more people would follow suit? Could it actually have the opposite effect? And actually, do you think it'll actually make 10-mans harder to fill?
I think this, if anything, is going to make 25s have better longevity and survive better, and have fewer 25 teams go 10s. I would be really surprised if people were like, oh, a slightly increased chance of a slightly increased item level? Okay, right now, we are merging with another 2 guilds to make a 25-man raid team. Right now!
Yeah, I honestly don't think that 10-mans are in any danger of going away, just because of the fact that it's easier to organize a 10-man guild. So, if nothing else, a lot of guilds will say, well, I want to get into raiding. Like, that's the first step, right? Is I start raiding, so I will do 10-mans. That's the first, like, if I want to start a raiding guild, I will start with a 10-man most of the time. You don't sit down and say, okay, we're going to be a 25-man raiding guild.
Maybe
We've
you
got
just want to
10
go right
people
for the
sitting
40
around,
man.
but let's wait.
Maybe you're just a 40-man kind of raider.
Yeah, we're just going to only do Molten Core at level 9.
Molten Core over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think 10-mans are really in any danger. I think it can be kind of, it's going to be a lot of frustrating, or it's going to be frustrating for 10-man raiders, and that's unfortunate for sure. But like I said, I don't see a better way to take care of this. The only other thing I could think of is something else that I've been talking about a lot, is that maybe the problem is finding the raiders, like it certainly has been for us, is finding the raiders. And I think aside to, and perhaps in conjunction with this, Blizzard needs to be making a step towards better recruitment forums, like overhaul the recruitment forums, make that into an actual thing that people can use to find each other, make it easier for 25-man guilds to find more 25-man raiders and vice versa, because right now the problem isn't a lack of 25-man guilds, it's a lack of 25-man raiders to fill those guilds. So A, this will entice a lot more 25-man raiders to actually be there, because more people are going to want this Thunderforged gear. But B, I do think that there is still the overlying problem of just connecting the 25-man raids with the 25-man raiders that belong in them. There's no, like, there are 25-man raiders out there looking for guilds, there are 25-man guilds looking for raiders, and you have both groups right now saying, I can't find anybody to fill this spot. It's like,
so we need, what you're saying is we need the eHarmony for guilds. We need, there
used to be a site.
Guild Harmony.
There used to be a site called WoW Matcher. It hasn't been updated in ages and nobody uses it anymore, but it was amazing because it was literally like, you'd sit down and you'd be like, I am a guild. This is what I like. This is the type of things I like: long walks on the beach and killing raid bosses. You should join our guild. And like, you'd list off what exactly you were looking for. You put your raid schedule.
Do you think that works? Like, should Gamebreaker, should we add this to like Gamebreaker? Is this like a good idea? Like, you think we should like make a wave game?
Yeah, Gamebreaker, Guild Breaker thing.
Guild
I don't know. I don't know. I've only kind of always ran with personal friends and people that I've been running with for years in games, and we kind of go from game to game to game. So I've never really, I don't know. I've never actually like sat and like tried to find a guild. So I've never really gone through it like that. Do you think there's a really, you think there's a lot of people out there that are having this issue? I'm just like brainstorming business ideas now. I'm like, Gamebreaker's going to build a whole thing. It's going to be great. We're going to have eHarmony and you're going to tell us your feelings and it's going to be great.
Well, if you look at the recruitment forums right now, there's like Alliance and Horde recruitment forums, and they just get spammed and flooded nonstop. Yeah. And it's like, okay, if you're looking for a specific person, you got to go through all these different things, open up one thread, look and see, okay, that his schedule doesn't fit with us. Open up this other thing, the schedule doesn't work. Or if you're looking for a guild, you're like, okay, well, this is, thankfully, it's separated by Alliance and Horde, which doesn't mean that much anymore because you can faction transfer anyway. But like, you look through this list and you're like, okay, I can't fit that schedule, or they use a loot system that I don't like, or what's this guild's progression like? Well, I don't want to step down to normal mode rating. Or what's this guild's progression like? Oh, they're 16 to 16. There's no way they're going to recruit me, or something like that. It's a mess right now trying to even find a guild to apply to, or find a raider to say that we would like to pick you up. So streamlining that process so that you can say, okay, look, we're months behind. We raid Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, 8 to 12 Eastern time. If you're good at the game, post an application.
Done.
All right,
that would be awesome.
All right, there's got to be we can't afford this. We don't have any money, so it's not like we can't hire people to do this. There's got to be a programmer out there who plays WoW. Maybe you're looking for this. Contact us. Send us an email at contact@GameBreaker.tv if you think you want to volunteer, and maybe even multiple people. We'll put a small strike force team together and build it. Because I think to do it right, you really need a small team. I'm not even joking. Like, you really need to build out a nice little database with a lot of options and stuff. I think this is a good idea. So if you guys want to volunteer, if you're a coder, you got to know what the heck you're doing. Don't just email us because you think it's a good idea and you're looking for a guild. But if you're a coder and you think it's a good idea, if you want to volunteer, send us an email, contact@GameBreaker.tv, and I don't know, maybe we'll put together like a little team of 2 or 3 developers to see what kind of response you guys get, and we'll build this. I think it'd be a nice addition. I mean, we cover 99% MMOs, so it's like, I think it'd be awesome to give everybody kind of a place to find another guild. Yeah. And then maybe we'll just put together like a 500-man like Mumble server or something and just let everybody... I don't know. Any guys feeling that gear's just getting kind of really complicated at this point, though? I mean, you've got like what you've got.
We're back to Thunderforged again. Okay.
Yeah, back to Thunderforged.
You've got Raid Finder, you've got Normal, you've got Heroic, you've got Elite, Thunderforged, and you've got Valor upgrades. Like, seriously, like
it's a bit of a head scratcher.
How many tiers can they build? It's insane.
Yeah, and you throw like people like me who gear for raiding via PvP, and you've got your PvP gear that sort of like creeps in around the raiding gear. It's like, what? So wait, is this better or worse than? So it goes Raid Finder, normal Thunderforged, heroic Thunderforged. That's the list for PvE, and somewhere in there, in between the gaps in those, is your PvP gear. And then you got upgrades.
Are upgrades coming back? Are elite modes coming back? Like, are we going to have heroic elite Thunderforged? Is that going to with 2 of 2 upgrades?
Double upgraded heroic elite Thunderforged. Yeah.
No, I definitely think at least one of those things needs to go away. It's probably going to be, at the very least, the elite modes they're probably done. I
reckon upgrades. I reckon the upgrades are dead. I reckon this is it.
There's a couple of things I was thinking about and I was talking about this on the Weekly Marmot. One thing might be nice is if they still want to do the like extra, like the double heroic modes of fights, where it's like, okay, sure, there's normal and heroic, but there's also this harder way to do the fight, like we have Protectors of the Endless. Maybe give that just a higher chance to drop Thunderforged gear or something. So there's still a reason to do it, a gear reason to do it, but it fits inside the Thunderforged gear system. And then the other thing is, what if upgrades still exist, but you can only upgrade to a maximum of 6 item levels, and you can't upgrade Thunderforged gear. So you can use the upgrades to turn a non-Thunderforged piece into a Thunderforged piece, which could also help buffer a little bit of the gap between 10s and 25s later on in the tier once the upgrades are available and so on. I think there's ways to make it work. It's just there needs to not be heroic elite Thunderforged 0 of 2 upgrades. That's too much.
Like somebody in the chat room called it tierception. It's starting to feel like that. It feels like I feel like I'm just like walking into rooms with doors and there's always another door and I just keep walking around. I'm just like, it's a never ending. There's never ending rooms.
Did the top spin or did it fall over? Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, because one of the things they said that they were doing with the Thunderforged was making more of an incentive for people to go back through old raid content. And like, so your farm modes, like Josh, you were saying that Months Behind we're finally considering taking Mogishan Vaults off of farm now. You'd be farming that raid forever, trying to get all 25 of your guys Thunderforged to the max.
Yeah, I definitely think that Thunderforged gear would have been a terrible idea for tier 14 with 16 bosses.
Yeah, we got 13 in this tier coming.
Yeah, well, and it's all in one tier and it's all one item level is the other thing. Because Mogishan gear, like, we still do farm Mogishan, but that's because we need like a shield off of Spirit Kings and trinkets off the last 2 bosses. We don't even care about the first like 3 bosses at all. We just
that garage dude needs to give you that freaking shield.
Yeah.
Now, according to the official announcement, the Blizzard official announcement, there's actually a little bit more to this and why they're actually doing this. So they said this new item designation is being added for a couple reasons, but first and foremost to make loot drops more interesting overall, especially after you have earlier bosses in Throne of Thunder on farm. As you're working on progression, those first few bosses can now continue to provide a chance at upgrades, making repeated kills potentially more exciting and rewarding. Who's buying this? You guys buying this?
Well, exactly.
No? Do you really think that their first goal in this entire system was to make loot drops more interesting?
You guys, you can get more gear. It's not that you have to gear up longer. No, it's that you can get more gear. There's more stuff to get. No, it's definitely... There's two ways to take it, really. Blizzard's really trying to play up the... Well, it's better because there's more now. You can still get upgrades off those bosses. But I think a lot of people, myself included, are going to look at this and going, so we have to farm that guy for how long before everybody gets what they want?
What exactly is the drop rate of this stuff? Because, really? I mean, this... Really? No. It's like, oh yeah, it makes our content, more fun. No enduring, no fun. One of the two.
Wait, what did the PR company, what did marketing tell me to say? I don't remember.
Wait, I've got my notes. Is that my note or his note? Wait, no, I think it's fun. Yeah.
I mean, on one hand, it's gonna make drops more useful for a longer period of time. But at the same time, it's gonna take a lot longer for people to gear up. So,
is this their way of pointing out? Is this their way of padding for the fact that they are like, wait, we haven't designed the next raid yet? Oh God,
ooh. That's what you think they're stalling?
Stalling. It's a stalling tactic.
It may very well be. We'll have to see. I think it'll work fine on the first few bosses in the instance, because you're going to be farming those for longer anyway. But the later bosses, especially when you also consider if you're a guild that does heroic progression, so you progress through it on normal and then on heroic again, depending on how long it takes to actually clear it on normal the first time. We're talking about, okay, well, maybe the first boss, I don't remember the name of the first boss, so we'll go with the second one. Maybe Horadon it's no time at all. So whatever, we've taken down Horadon day one, we're getting Thunderforge gear, and then we went back, when we were going back through on heroic again, we took him down pretty early, theoretically, and then now we're getting the Thunderforge gear. We're farming that for a longer period of time, so we've got the Thunderforge gear off of him that we need. But what about Raiden, the ultra secret heroic boss
from Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah, sure.
Let's say yes.
We'll go with possibly on that one. Yeah. But what about this guy? Is anyone going to have Thunderforge pieces off of him? A lot of guilds are just never going to kill him, and a lot of guilds that do kill him are only going to have maybe 2 or 3 kills before the next tier comes out. So I think that may end up feeling really, really frustrating, especially if you're one of the types of people who likes to wait for best in slot items to come around. When you're sitting there and you're going okay, I could spend DKP on this if your guild that still uses DKP, or I could use my Suicide King Suicide or something. Exactly, yeah. I could Suicide to get this piece of gear, but I really want the Thunderforge piece, so I'm gonna pass on this one. I'll let somebody else get it. And then you have somebody this is going to end up being something that guilds are going to have to yell at their people for. But we're going to end up with people sitting there wearing crappy gear, not taking upgrades, because it's not the Thunderforge piece, so I don't want to buy it or something like that. And that's going to be annoying, especially for guilds that use DKP systems. But I actually think there's not that many of those anymore, so maybe it's fine.
No, perhaps, and it's just going to be another source of drama. It's always going to be inevitably the drop that you want, or actually no, not the drop that Josh Allen with all his freaking lucky dice wants. The drop that I want is only going to come from Raiden. It's the spirit shield is going to come from Raiden, nowhere else. It's just it's always going to be the way, and there's always going to be something that doesn't quite drop off of Horadon, so you end up doing Horadon on normal mode week in, week out to get that. Yeah, it's going to be horrendous. I really hope they work the tables well on this.
I don't know how I feel about the new Raiden. He's jumping all around with his legs, ninja sword thing, and his arms, and it's all actiony. I don't know how it's gonna hold up. Raiden.
Are we talking about Metal Gear Solid again?
I think we might be. I think we might be, rather than the mysterious shadow at the back of the room in the Miss Pandaria pictures.
See, because I was thinking about Mortal Kombat.
I was thinking about New Raiden. And I was checking out my socks. I have Thunderforged socks on, by the way.
Do you? Thunder Forged.
How long did it take you for that? Are those Argyle socks?
Oh no, they're not. They've got purple and pink lines on them though.
Wow.
They're Thunderforged. They're elite Thunderforged socks. I got them at Blizzard. What's your take, guys, on the so the PvP gears, the PvE gear changes overall? Good, bad, ugly? What do you think?
Interesting. I think it can work. I think there's going to be some unique issues to solve. I think they're solvable though. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. I think especially like if it ends up being super frustrating, they can go the route of, okay, you can upgrade non-Thunderforged gear to be equal to Thunderforged or something like that, so that it's recoverable, I'll put it that way. So it'll be really interesting to see how it works out. It may not work out, but if it doesn't, I think it's recoverable. I think it's something that they can fix once they see, oh, well, this isn't really working how we wanted it to. Well, we'll just do this, and that takes care of the problem at that point. I think it is fixable, so I'm not terribly worried about it.
No, I think, I mean, from a 10-man perspective, it's just like, well, okay, there's a new tier of gear to get. This will probably cause some loot drama. It's probably going to make it a lot more tiresome to farm these raids, but whatever. It's fine. It's another tier. It's kind of replacing the upgrade system. I really like Josh's idea of them bringing it in so you can upgrade your stuff to the Thunderforged level come 5.3. Good idea, Josh.
Thanks.
Here.
All right, one more bit of news about gearing, I promise, and then we'll move on. So the patch 5.2 legendary has been data mined. It's a special meta gem. I think we already knew that. And as you guys expect, there's a tank version, a healer version, a caster DPS version, and so on. But here's the crazy thing, something we did not know. There's also a PvP version, a P versus P version. The Tyrannical Primal Diamond has 2 stats on it. It's 775 resilience and 665 PvP power.
Tyrannical PvP power.
What is this? Is this thing real? Are we getting a PvP legendary? Is this a troll? Is this real? Is this real life? Where am I?
The asshole in me really wants this to be a troll. the guy who says, oh, that would be the best troll ever, Blizzard. But then they lose like half of their subscribers, so that's probably a bad idea.
I don't even know if I want a PvP legendary. How will we get it? This is the important question.
Why do you not want one?
I am not doing the Rathian quest chain. I'm not doing all that raiding and all that sigils of whatever and no.
That's interesting. So do you think that most of the PvP community feels that way? Do you think most of the PvP community doesn't really want one?
I am filled
They're afraid
with
of what goes along with it. You're afraid of what goes along with it.
I can't be like, yeah, I am the PvP community. But I'm filled with horror at the potential for how they're going to be making us get this. Filled with American horror at like, how is this going to work? I'm just terrified. I'm just like, it will be the best thing for PvP. It will be the best thing for PvP.
Yeah, but do you think could they really make PvPers start having to raid? That would be weird. There's got to be another way, doesn't there? It can't be the same chain.
Yeah. If they're doing this, if this isn't, to be honest, I'm more worried about it than I am excited. I kind of want this to be a typographical error. Someone ticked the wrong box next to stats. It was like, I slipped. Sorry.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, maybe they just itemized one because they felt like it, but it also has like the lower PvP item level to go along with it too. Like
don't say that, Josh Allen.
It's clear. It looks like they did it on purpose. It looks like it's real.
Shut up. just shut up right now.
No,
how will we get the weapon to put it in? I mean, please don't tell me it's going to be one of those Shah Touch things.
Oh no, it's a meta gem. It just goes in a meta.
Oh, sorry, it's a meta gem. My mistake. Sorry, I thought it was one of the Shah Touch. Well, that's slightly better. Slightly.
But we still got to figure out does it come from the same chain? Do you have to go and start collecting your sigils? Do you have to collect 6,000 Valor points? That'd be a kick in the ass. Are they going to make you do that part of the chain? I don't even like doing that part of the chain. I'm getting Valor points anyway.
Well, if they did it where you have to collect 6,000 conquest points, that would be cool. It'd take like 2 weeks. Done.
Yeah, it's It's a month and a half for PvEers, so...
Yeah. And then you could collect sigils of wisdom from winning arena matches. I'm starting to like this idea.
If they...
So you're coming around to it now.
As long as they make it PvP, that would be fine.
Well, here's...
Legendary always makes me think of PvE and tiresome and Tarragos's Wrath. Whatever, no, Rest, not Tarragos's Wrath.
Legendary always makes me think of awesome show on Game Breaker TV.
There is that.
No,
Legendary in WoW makes you think
the
of
thing.
Stupid PvE.
Here's the thing that you're not going to like to hear. The PvE quest chain has PvP in it. You have to win 2 battlegrounds. You have to win...
that is not PvP. That's Children's Week.
It's not... It's not a Children's Week. It's not a big deal, obviously, but there's an element of it there, and that's been a huge thing that people have hated about the legendary chain right now. Is they're like, I will never do any PvP, blah, blah, and they're like, I don't want to have to win the 2 new battlegrounds. So you have to win one of the temple and one of the other one. But yeah,
Silvershot Mines. I will happily complete 2 PvE dungeons, which are the equivalent of battlegrounds. That
maybe
I will
LFR.
do.
They might send you an LFR.
Okay.
So you can be the noob wearing PvP gear in LFR. That'll go over well.
Wait, I'm already that person. It's too late, guys. It has all the same stats on it. Don't make me link items again.
Seriously, what's your gut there? You think they'll go with a totally different chain for PvPers?
I think they have to. There's too much
to, right?
There's way too much, like, because we're also assuming that it's a continuation of the Rathion chain that starts in Tier 14.
Oh, God,
so
imagine.
It's like, okay, well, you get this Shot Touch gem that you can't use because you don't run raids. Yeah. So it's like it's gonna have to be a separate thing. I think Blizzard does some questionable things from time to time. I don't think they're that dumb. I don't think they are dumb enough to say, okay, PvPers, here you go.
Go back.
Best get to Mogashan. Head on over there.
Back you go. Hang out with Rathian in his little room.
Yeah.
On the stupid veiled stair or whatever it's called. And, oh my God, can you imagine? Oh, that would be awful if that was the way to get the best weapon for PvP.
All right, believe it or not, there's actually some other stuff going on besides gearing. We'll come back to more of this stuff next week. There's so much more to talk about, so hopefully we'll get some more info on that. But there's some more changes coming to PvP, coming in patch 5.2. That's according to the latest PTR notes. So first off, Blizzard is finally scaling players in lower level battlegrounds. Why did this take so long?
It's like one of those, wait, they didn't do that yet? What?
Yeah, really? Like what? I mean, so everyone in a given bracket will be scaled up to the maximum level. So basically, if you're in the 70 to 74 bracket, your base stats and spells are scaled to level 74. You're treated like a 74, like for things like hit and crit and stuff like that. But I assume you're not going to get the spells that you don't have, things like that. But really, like, were they just waiting for somebody else to do this and test it out and maybe see if this was going to work? And it did.
I mean, SWTOR had it for like a year already. So
yeah,
and they'd scale you all the way to 50 in 49, I guess.
49
in SWTOR. So
there is some debate there, though. I mean, in SWTOR, I know the level 1 to 49 PvP is like the tons of fun. The level 50 PvP isn't at the top tier. The last level, it's got some issues. We talked about it last week on the Republic, and it's the way it's.
That's part of what turned me off. Eventually, was I really loved the PvP when I started playing, and then when I got to max level, and I was like, Well,
that was the first thing I thought of when I saw this. Is like, can they get it right?
Or I think the advantage they have over that issue in this case is that the max level PvP already works. So it's not like we're going to run into an issue of the lower level PvP is fun and then the max level PvP sucks, because the max level PvP is already there and it doesn't suck. So I'm not too worried. But honestly, I'm excited for this. This is another reason that's going to get me to level my rogue again, because I like to level characters through PvP. It's a very slow way to level sometimes, but I like to do it because it's fun. I get in there, I do PvP, and it's fun. And I tried to do that in Mists of Pandaria with my rogue. That's what I did during. That's what I did to get him all the way to 85. Was I did PvP. I tried to do that in Mists of Pandaria, my rogue. I got in there. Someone with 300,000 more health than me immediately killed me, and I went.
That's what you get for playing a rogue. Honestly,
it's like I can't possibly do anything. It's actually impossible for me to do anything.
Now you know how everyone else felt when you attacked them in early kata.
I don't want to feel like that. I want to kill them.
They want to feel powerful and strong, like an invisible dude. No, it's a good idea. And I think one of the other things they've got going in their favor is they've got small, really, really small brackets. So you're not going to have a level 10 restoration shape. Hang on a minute, let me think of a class I know what spells they have. I haven't had a level 10 shape in such a long time. A level 10 paladin who's got Crusader Strike and a Judgment facing up against a level 80 paladin who's got like 3 bars of spells. They're just like, Crusader Strike? Wait, it's not off cooldown. I can't do another thing yet. Here's my
PvP rotation. Crusader Strike, Judgment, stand around.
Yeah. Crusader Strike, Judgment, white noise. Crusader Strike, Judgment, white noise. That's
Sounds
what I got.
Like the Burning Crusade rotation.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so you don't get the higher level spells, but I think it's going to be really interesting for people who do the whole twinking thing, because it's going to mean now, like again, looking at protection paladins. I've recently been having a hilarious time with some guildmates doing protection paladin low level battlegrounds. Protection paladins are kind of OP low level battlegrounds. If you want to just go and do something silly, just do that for a second.
It's because everything silences. It's just
level
hey, how's
14,
it going?
Level 14, level 19 is the one. Get a level 19 protection paladin, kit it out in heirlooms, go do some battlegrounds, and just chuckle as your Avenger's Shield one-shots people. Bosh.
The other thing the other thing chat rooms reminded us about doing the SWTOR comparison is they don't have the resolve bar, which is good because that thing is borked beyond belief.
Yeah. But yeah, so sorry, the the spells, it's going to be about the spells. So a level 19 paladin, you've got your lay on hands and you've got your bubble, you've got Crusader Strike, you've got Avenger's Shield, you've got your Judgment, and I believe you've got Seal of Truth at that point. Level 19 hunters have Scattershot, which is very important. It's very good instant CC, although it's got quite a cooldown. So it's going to be about the classes that get the good stuff early for Battlegrounds. It's going to become about that rather than about like, lol, level 19, have fun, guys. Level 15, insta-dead. It's going to be more about that, and it's going to be more about gear. So it's going to make twinking interesting for those people who don't do it hardcore, like proper twinking, like level 70, arenas, ridiculous high-end gearing stuff.
Yeah,
casual twinking game's going to get more interesting.
It's definitely going to be interesting where the gaps start to show up again. Because
there will still be gaps.
Yeah, well, yeah, and definitely there'll still be different brackets where certain classes are stronger or weaker. Like, oh, I don't have travel form yet on my druid, but in the next bracket I will. So I jump from being the worst flag carrier ever to amazing flag carrier in this situation. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it works out. I'm excited for it though, because at the very least, it's not going to make anything significantly worse by any stretch of the imagination than it is right now. It's going to make things better for sure. Question of how much better, but still an improvement. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to actually being able to level my rogue through PvP.
All right, moving on. We're also getting the first details on the second place prize that Blizzard talked about a while ago for RBGs. So if you remember back in the day, we heard this thing scales on how close the match was, and it can go up to 200 conquest points. So that's for a really close game. Now that's half of what you'd get for a win. So what do you guys think of the whole system? Does that seem pretty legit? Does that seem pretty reasonable? I mean, we don't know yet how harshly it's going to scale down from there, but I don't know. How do you guys think this will work? Should it be possible to get? Do you think it's going to be possible to get 0 points for losing after this?
I hope so, because otherwise it's going to be bot city, win trading bot city in RBGs. So it had better scale down. It needs, in my opinion, it needs to scale down pretty aggressively from like, losing 1600 to 1555 to nothing. It needs to be like a rapid drop off. It really does.
Yeah, I think I think in terms of bots, it's going to be like you'd need to have, because it's RPGs. You got to have an organized team to get into it.
Sure, sorry, win trading. So people who just rock up with one person and just like queue, and they've got 10 fake characters or something. But you go in there and you're facing off against one person. It happens quite a lot, and they're just there. I don't know what they're even doing, but if they were getting conquest points for that would be a problem.
Yeah, I think if you get completely dominated, like game is over super fast, then it should still be possible to get 0. I think if you're putting an effort in, though, if your team is putting an effort, I think it's okay to get a bit of a consolate, like a second place prize, more or less. Like, congratulations, you got 2. I mean, it was 2 out of 2, but you got 2 regardless. Good work.
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't. No, you lost. It's not second. You don't get a pretty silver medal. But
it'll make people a lot more willing to stick with RPG teams. Like, because a huge problem that the RPG teams have had so far, and the couple times that I've tried to organize RPG teams, or people in my guild have tried to organize RPG teams and I've gone along with them, it's like, okay, we lost the first match, and this is with a team. Like, we're bringing in other pugs, but this is with a guild team. It was like 6 or 7 of us, and we would just lose our 3 pugs if we lost the first match. And then we'd be right back in trade chat trying to get more people again. And it's just a mess. Like, if you're not getting anything for it, people just say, well, this was a complete and total waste of time, I'm not going to do it. I think it'll help get more people into RPGs. And I think that's really, really important for where RPGs are right now. In a perfect world, sure, you shouldn't get anything for losing because you lost. But this is the World of Warcraft. Perfect world is somebody else entirely. This is Blizzard. We've got to... that's a game developer joke. We have to look at the situation that the game is in right now and go, okay, RPGs are having this issue. There needs to be something in there to fix it. It's kind of like the Thunderforge system. Maybe it's not the best possible situation to have, like in a perfect situation, maybe this wouldn't be necessary. But in the situation we're in now, it kind of does feel necessary to me. So I think it'll help a lot for the more casual RPG audience to be able to get into this stuff. It probably won't mean much for the top level, but for the casual RPG audience, which the PvP community really, really needs more casuals in it. I know that sounds weird to say, but it really, really needs to be able to grab a hold of the casual player more, and stuff like this is going to help that quite a bit.
Yeah, fair point. I mean, maybe it will invigorate casual RPGing a bit more. It's yeah, that's a reasonable point, and I don't know. It's so frustrating coming up against win trade teams. I hate it. Stop that. Stop win trading.
It does also mean, obviously, that they're going to have to be more mindful than they have been in the past about stuff like that, because people get reported, but you still see them doing it like weeks and weeks later, and it's I don't know what. Like, they need a team of people just watching for that. Yeah. Basically, they need people who are just saying. These guys have queued up against the same team 10 times in a row. We threw off this flag went off somewhere in the system. Now somebody goes and watches them for the next 3 games and sees what they do. And okay, well, these guys are obviously win trading.
Yeah,
Congratulations, you can no longer play World of Warcraft. Goodbye.
Yeah, bye now. Yeah, so what? But what next? Will we get conquest for losing arenas? Will we get valor for not quite killing a boss?
I don't think it's necessary for arenas, and I obviously don't think it's necessary to get valor for not killing a boss.
But you did so well. You tried really hard.
Yeah, it was the tank's fault the whole time. That's why you didn't get that valor. So here you go. There you go. Now valor's kind of a totally different thing, because you get it through like daily quests and scenarios and picking your nose and whatever else nowadays. Anyway, I think in terms of arena, I don't think it's necessary in arenas, because the way the matchmaking system works up in arenas, it's so fast to be able to earn that anyway. Like, I suck at arenas. I'll throw that out there. Like, my max rating, I actually hit like 1800 during Wrath of the Lich King, but since then, like in Mists of Pandaria, looks delicious, Gary.
You're disturbing your dinner, Gary.
But I've gotten like 1500 in Mists of Pandaria. That's the highest I've gotten. But I'll still cap arenas on weeks where we do it, because
it doesn't take long
to do it. Yeah, so
no, it doesn't take long.
And you're only talking about you need only 2 or 3 more people or 1 or 2 more people to actually be able to do the arena. So yeah,
you're being very reasonable, Josh, and I'm being kind of sulky. That's what's going on here. I'm being like about people getting valor for conquest for losing. Listen to Josh. Olivia wrong.
All right, we got a couple more bits of non 5.2 news to talk about before we get to some viewer questions. Big news this week in the raiding community was that two of the top guilds, we talk about them a lot, Vodka and Exodus, they've merged. They've transferred to Mal'Ganis and they've reformed under the name Evodus. Is it Evodus? Evodus?
I think it's actually supposed to be like Evadus, like vodka
Evadus?
in the middle of it. Evadus.
Evadus.
Vodka got owned. Did that name change?
And the thing is, they're actually saying that they might just change it back to Exodus.
It's definitely a better name than this. Evodus, Evadus, whatever it is. Exodus would be a better name. So, they're not really saying much about why they did this, though, have they? There's only some rumors and some hearsay crap, but nobody's really come publicly saying why they did this. I mean, there's one rumor going around that Vodka's guildmaster had actually died. Fortunately,
Wow.
we think that that's not true. We hope you're alive.
Manaflask was reporting on it, and they said no, he's fine. That was just a rumor. But yeah, other than Manaflask, they had like a little paragraph about it where they were like, "This happened." Also, Grafarian's not dead. Other than that, like that's about all I've really seen in terms of a public thing for it. I guess I haven't seen anything from the guilds themselves. So yeah,
think we're gonna
just
see-
kind
you
of.
think
By the way, guys, these two guilds aren't there anymore. They transferred over to Mal'Ganis, and there's a different guild now.
And it's crazy to me that like these top guilds are like having trouble with people. I mean, do you think we're going to start seeing this happen more often?
So here's the thing about top guilds right now. The PvE community in just the past couple, the world first races in just the past couple of tiers have become so like in depth in what they're doing to stay ahead. Like up until I want to say it was like up until Cataclysm, really, there really wasn't a whole lot of running alt raids. Like they would run alt raids, but they wasn't like a major focus. They're like, okay, yeah, we'll get an alt geared up eventually, and it was almost something for them to do and not so much like a progression focused thing. But over the course of Cataclysm, that eventually turned into, okay, all of our raiders need to have 4 geared alts so that we can swap you in and out on a given fight. So you can say, okay, well, I normally play a warlock, but on this fight, a hunter would be better, or something like that. So I'm going to swap from this character to that character, or a shadow priest would be better, or a balance druid or something. I won't be able to swap around between these, and that's something that a lot of these, like Blood Legion, I think they have a mandatory 4 alts for everybody or something like that. And I think Method does something like that too. I don't know the specifics of any of that, so I'm kind of talking on my ass a little bit there. But I know that they have like mandatory alts, and that's something that a lot of these top guilds just didn't want to do. I know Exodus and Vodka was running alts. Exodus is a group that I don't think has been. I think they've just been sticking with their main team. And I think they've kind of said, well, we weren't able to keep up, so they started losing people. And that's the other thing too, is it's actually kind of hard to recruit people for positions like that. When you're saying, okay, when a new tier of content comes out, you're going to be raiding for 16 hours a day, every day for the next month. There's not a lot of people that can do that, let alone people that can do that are also ridiculously good at World of Warcraft and are willing to actually do that. So yeah, I think it's actually kind of just part of how the world first race has turned out over time, is that stuff like this is just going to start happening because people are getting so ridiculously into this world first race, which makes, from my perspective, it makes the world first race awesome to watch, because you're like, look at all this crazy crap these guys are doing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting, I guess, because there's a bunch of there's a few big 25-man guilds in the States. You've got like Josh has just rattled, like, well, Vodka, Exodus. You got Blood Legion. I'll think of more. And then in the EU,
I can't off the top of my head, so.
I just like ran out of. But you got three big 25-man world firsty kind of guilds in the States. In the EU, you've got Method, and previously Paragon, but mostly just Method. Envy, but mostly Method. And maybe it is like this: the competition across these 3 guilds is sort of like, do you get players moving? You probably know you might know this, Josh, but because I sure don't. Do you get players who are like, well, Vodka, plays third. I'm going to go Blood Legion. Do they poach from each other, or is there some kind of gentleman's agreement there?
I don't know how much they actually poach from each other. I think they end up having too much of a rivalry between each other to really do that. Because like it'll be like, oh, you were in vodka. Well, we don't want you now.
Oh, really?
You were in vodka instead, or something like that. I don't know. That's just kind of the impression I've gotten from seeing some of their interactions before. But I don't know, to be sure.
Mm.
But it's kind of funny you mentioned you're trying to come up with the like what would now be the third U.S. guild. It's actually the World 20. If you're looking at 25-man, it's the World 20th. It's a guild called Supermassive from Tyrannical, who I mean, obviously they're good. They're top 20.
Yeah.
But I've never heard of them before.
Welcome to my
never mentioned them once.
Supermassive.
Welcome to the race.
Welcome to the race, guys.
What's gonna go? What do you think
What's
the tier
your
15?
website?
What do you think? What do you think tier 15 is gonna look like? What's the race gonna look like? Because you got Paragon that switched to 10-man. Now you've got Exodus and Vodka merging. I mean, what's gonna really? I don't know. What do we got? We got Method, Blood Legion, Supermassive,
Evodus.
Well, chat room is saying they already changed their name back to Exodus. By the way,
Oh, really?
I don't know if that's confirmed, but I did see that they changed it. So,
yeah. What's the world? What's the other guild? What's the next guild down in the world?
Envy has actually been doing all right for a while.
It's gotta be Envy.
Yeah. And then there's like the like Korean guilds or the Asian guilds like Stars and stuff, but they're like you can't really even consider them part of the race anymore because of the whole gear differential.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's this Russian guild that I can't pronounce.
Because Stars nabbed a couple things last year, right?
Yeah.
I remember talking about them
Kin
quite a
Raiders.
If I
while.
remember correctly.
Yeah.
Kin Raiders took something. Spine?
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of their race has now been sort of put alongside the EUNA race or EU-US race because of the changes.
Wraith, Apex, Scrub Busters, just naming off some other names that are on the list here. Wraith is actually the
Come on,
fourth,
guys, you can do it.
Yeah.
You guys got a chance.
Envy.
You can do it. You can
Method
do
and
it.
Envy versus Blood Legion and Evidus.
If it does. All right, last up
I
today
kinda
before we
wanna-
what It up. What, Josh Allen? What?
I was just gonna say, I kind of want to keep calling them Evidus just to
Evidus.
remember that was a thing at some point.
Yeah, it was a thing for
Let's
about
not
30
forget
seconds
that.
on this show. All right, so before we get some viewer questions, it looks like Ghostcrawler's pulling Rob Pardo on us and teasing us on the old Twitters. So someone actually asked him, what feature being added in the Mists of Pandaria is going to be remembered as the big game changer? Kind of like, how Dungeon Finder was in Wrath. And this was Greg's response. He said, we haven't announced it yet. Smiley face. Very important.
I'm really
smiley
happy.
face.
I'm happy you pronounced the smiley face.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah,
important.
clarity.
It's very important because it's
important.
like it's sneaky smiley face. Like we haven't announced it yet. Nah.
You can imagine his face smiling like.
He's like. So to be clear, a lot of people were confused. They thought that maybe that the Thunderforged announcement might have been it, and we talked about that before. But he actually clarified, said that is not it.
Yeah,
that is
he
not
said that Thunderforged
the
was
thing.
the controversial thing that he announced a few weeks back that Josh and I were speculating might be like Cross Realm or 15-man. That was Thunderforged.
All right,
This
so
is a
show's
whole
been
new thing.
You got 45 minutes left. That's all we got left of the show. So. Any guesses? Anything? What could they possibly have in the pipeline for Mists of Pandaria that is going to be the game changer for the expansion?
Well, one thing to add is he came back for further tweetage backwards and forwards. He came back and said, this is the only other clue that I've seen, and Josh has probably looked at his feed more recently than I have. He came back and said that some people will be like, have their minds blown by it, and some people will just be like, was that it?
Yeah, well, that's always going to happen no matter what. Like, there was people who were like, mind blown, Pandaren, and other people were like, Pandaren, really? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it could be. I don't. From that, it makes me think that it's not going to be something super major. Like I see people in chat saying like third faction or cross faction stuff. I don't think they're going to go that far with that. Otherwise, he would not have teased it to begin with. He wouldn't have said anything. I've seen other people guessing things that have already been announced, like Proving Grounds or new character models. Like, okay, guys, it's something they haven't announced yet.
It's something we don't.
By definition, it's not that.
That's the one thing we do know, is that it's something that
The
they
only
have not
fact
yet
we actually
announced.
have, they
That's the
haven't
fact.
announced it.
Yeah.
How long do you think we're have to wait for this? Because they usually roll out these big changes towards the end, right? I mean, Dungeon Finder and Raid Finder came out in the final tiers. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they wait so long for the big game changer? What's the logic behind coming out at the end of the expansion?
I almost wonder, because we know that Raid Finder was something they were planning for Cataclysm, or something they were planning for Mists of Pandaria, but they were like, no, we got to get this out because it's a big deal. And I think Dungeon Finder was kind of the same way in Wrath of Lich King. I almost wonder if it's something like they do this when they come up with a feature for the next expansion and just go, no, this is too cool. We got to get it out now. We got to get it out as soon as possible. I almost wonder if that's what it is.
We should try this out on the last raid of the previous expansion and not risk ruining the first raid of the new expansion with it.
We'll try this out so that we can only ruin an entire expansion instead of have a fixable.
We'll only ruin Dragon Soul.
No.
I feel like there's an entire wing of psychiatrists at like Blizzard who just sit around and just like figure out every little trigger and Pavlovian thing that we do as human beings. They're just like, they've got us down. We're just like a science project to Blizzard. They just sit around and they just
we're
like, give us
the world's
trinkets and
biggest
things.
ant farm.
Yeah, it's just constant trolling of a big experiment. All right, let's do some viewer questions to get the heck out of here. Every week we read your viewer questions. We love video questions. We love video questions. Send your questions in to submit at Gamebreaker TV. And if you got a video question, post it up on YouTube. Keep it about 30 seconds to a minute. Send us the link. We'll play it on the show. Also, you can keep an eye on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/GameBreaker TV. This has nothing to do with viewer questions, but if you haven't checked out our YouTube page, go over to youtube.com/GameBreaker TV. So that has absolutely
/Gamebreaker Nation.
Gamebreaker Nation. Wow. Yeah, screwed that up. Gamebreaker Nation. And that has absolutely nothing to do with viewer questions. I just thought I'd throw that in there for an extra plug. I couldn't find any place else to put it in. So, all right, first up this week. This one is from Matthew Whalen. Matthew says, with all these games coming out with live action combat / non-static combat, do you think WoW may one day try to reboot their combat system? Why the hell not? They reboot everything else.
Maybe that's the big announcement coming in like patch 5.
Mind blown. Boom.
It'll suddenly change. When you go underwater, all your action bars will change.
Ooh, that's a good one. That was
the worst part of Guild Wars 2. I hated the underwater combat so much.
What do you think? You think they ever reboot their combat system though? Do you think they'd ever kind of bring it up to the times?
I think they've come too far with the current.
Does it need it? I mean, it is what it is at this point, isn't it? It's like
I think it's one of those things that you got to kind of look at the game and say, okay, yeah, it's 8 years old. Changing things like talent systems is one thing. That's obviously a major change, but it's something that then fits back into still playing the game the same way you've always played it. This is something we're talking about completely changing how you play the game from the ground up, and that doesn't seem likely to me. It seems like something that if they want to do a new combat system, that's for Titan. That's for whatever comes after Titan.
If they want to completely change the fundamental way in which the game is played, they will make a new game.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, there's
perfect example. Perfect example on why this is a bad idea, Mr. Gary Gannon. Star Wars Galaxies and the NGE.
Them's fighting words.
Yeah, I'm just saying, they did it in Galaxies, it was a bad idea.
Lucky this is an
really
online
bad
show.
Idea. NG was a bad idea. Very, very few games that I can think of that actually did a full-on combat revamp the way the entire game plays, and that's one of them, and we know how that worked out. All right, next up from Jay Kane. Says, Garrosh was updated in Cataclysm with a new model and tattoos. When character model updates finally happen, do you reckon Blizzard will add tattoos as part of the barbershop? That's a really good question, because I think a lot of people would love it if they did. I don't know why I don't see them doing it for some reason, but damn, I think people would be super happy. Maybe that's the mind-blown thing.
I think they do it for races where it makes sense. Like, well, they kind of already have the Night Elf facial marking thing going on. Mm-hmm. I think they do it for like dwarves.
Who doesn't have tattoos? Racist.
You're racist.
You're racist.
You're racist.
Well, race can't have a
Tauren and
tattoo.
Worgen.
Come on,
Tauren and
2013.
Worgen, because they've got fur.
Because
You
they're
can't see
furry.
it.
Hey, maybe why don't you shave the fur, you get a tattoo, it grows back in. Maybe it's just about having the tattoo. It's not really about showing off.
Blood elves are too pretty to have tattoos.
Hey, tattoos can be pretty.
Not
But-
blood elf pretty.
I do. Yeah, they're a little bit too Valley Girl for those. I do kind of think it'd be awesome. I am kind of thinking like it's something they might not do though, just because who's going to see them? You're wearing gear.
Yeah.
Even if you like
Mhm.
hide your shoulders in your helmet, and well, you can't hide your shoulders, but even if you were able to hide your shoulders,
No, you
it's
just hide your helmet. You can get, like a Lil Wayne tattoo. You get like a teardrop or something.
yeah, like little.
Like, yo, I've
Yeah,
been in
like
prison,
facial
thug
tattoo.
life.
like the night elves have, like little dwarf symbol or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe if they ever add in like the Wildhammer dwarves or something like that, or the Mag'har orcs, maybe it makes sense for it. But
Yeah.
It's going to be covered up by your gear most of the time, so I don't see it being something that they're going to really prioritize.
Less of this from Nico.
Spot on.
Thank you. Been practicing that one all day. He says, with Blizzard adding mainly small features, tweaking old ones and implementing functionality, do you guys feel that MOP will be known as the expansion of minor changes? And is this them releasing content more regularly?
I don't know that I agree that Blizzard is adding mainly small features, given that they're revamping the entire PvP gearing system, to making
Well,
massive sweeping changes to battleground scaling. Not sure about that.
I think it's not so much that the changes they're making are small, it's that it's hard to point to one of them as the big one, because there's a lot of
There's a lot of big ones. They had cross-realm zones.
Yeah.
I love Olivia's troll. It's amazing. It's perfection. It's like she just slows down her speaking, and it's like I'm bitch slapping you with my backhand slowly as I talk slower and slower, and I'm out.
And plus there's whatever Ghostcrawler hasn't announced.
Yeah,
yet.
exactly. This thing that he hasn't announced yet, which is bigger than cross-realm zones. It's bigger than the PvP gear changes. It's bigger than them adding 97 new tiers of gear.
Pet battles and
Bigger than jumping puzzles, bigger than pet battles.
Jumping puzzles and underwater combat.
Underwater
Resolve
combat,
bar.
dynamic events,
Illa.
resolve bar,
And
cyclone
Illa.
bursts.
Just
World.
the NGE.
Yeah.
Olivia D. Grace, follow her on the Twitter at Olivia D. Grace, and of course, come over to GameBreaker.tv and read all her amazing work over here, as well as over at the WoW Insider. That is, follow her on the wow, I can't even speak. Wow, that is follow the Twitter. Twitter was the word I was trying to get out, and that would be follow her at Olivia D. Grace. Josh Allen, don't follow him because he's just a jerk. All right, you can follow me at GameBreaker TV.
Wow.
You can follow me again. Oh, you can follow me at netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. Apparently, I put the wrong lower third up, so that's where you can follow me at netflix.com/GameBreakerTV.
There's a channel of just Gary.
Follow Josh Allen on Twitter at netflix.com/GameBreakerTV. See you next week.